And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently Saturday night, and I welcome all of you back to Chris Chan, a Comprehensive History 67. So, last time, ladies and gentlemen, last week I should say, was once. You remember back in 65 where I said that was the single episode, ladies and gentlemen, where I fully let out my emotions, that it was the moment where I thought that Chris was certifiably insane. Well, what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, in part 66 is that he was insane, but it was almost kind of sad to watch. Or rather, it would have been sad if Chris wasn't trying once again, after nearly 10 years, to try and get Megan Schroeder involved in on his shenanigans. And Megan put a very, very hard stop on all of this. And I don't think she gets mentioned at any point in the future, ladies and gentlemen. So I think we've drawn a particularly big veil on that string right there. So, what on earth happens today, ladies and gentlemen? Well, apart from... there is one thing about this that I'm kind of concerned. And it's the fact that it begins in sort of like the latter half of 2018. So if this involves like Crizel, Lisa, and Patches, I am going to be... no, it's like Sylvana, Lisa, and Patches, but oh dear Lord, I am very scared. So I hope you guys are ready, because here we go.
What made her this way? What is the attraction?
Good question.
What keeps us fascinated?
I have no idea.
This is the story of Chris Chan.
Part 67.
On October 30th, 2018, Christine continued to write extremely long threads on Twitter, attempting to explain to her followers the concept behind the dimensional merge, or the foretold alleged merging of the real-world dimension of 1218 and the dimension C197, which contained the living embodiments of almost all fictional cartoon characters and alternate versions of most of the residents of the actual Earth. Upon finishing her 3-part extended Twitter thread, she felt she had written enough to complete the Merge Survival Guide book that was previously planned as a collaborative project with the team behind the Sonichu official merchandise Twitter account. The merchandise creators instead expressed their confusion at her relatively brief text, claiming what Chris had written was not long enough for a fully fledged book. Also on October 30th, Christine unveiled a...
Oh god. Well, it's a race to the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, as with so many things with Chris, and here it is. Literally, I have no words about this story, so I think I'm just going to have to let it play out, because the only thing I can tell you right now is this smug look on Chris's face right here, with patches on his shoulder. Oh boy, listen, I'm just gonna leave this disclaimer here right now. If you are a cat person, look away now. Or if you just don't like seeing Chris looking particularly smug, then look away.
New kitten that had approached her from a litter of newborn cats in their backyard. She named him Patches and brought him to a vet where he was diagnosed with conjunctivitis in his left eye and given medicine. Chris elaborated on Twitter that the Chandlers had been feeding the wild cats in the backyard for a while, and that 2 more kittens had snuck into the property but were still hiding. On October 31st, Chris revealed her Halloween costume, Princess Savina from the cartoon series The Smurfs. She planned to attend a bar and grill restaurant and enter a costume contest, and later added that her 4 spouses, Magichan, Sylvana, Crizel, and Mewtwo, who apparently could not be photographed, were also dressed up as characters from the Smurfs. In the aftermath of the event, Chris wrote that the restaurant had a great atmosphere, friendly employees, and good tea and burgers. On November 1st, Christine tweeted that the dimensional merge would happen before the end of the year, though was uncertain on which day. On November 2nd, Chris informed trusted QB Farms member, the captain, that the other 2 kittens have formally been welcomed into the Chandlers' home, and all 3 were ill. On that same day, Christine posted on Twitter that her new family of kitties all suffered from conjunctivitis and needed immediate medical attention. She asked for help from her followers since she feared her new cats would not survive until the merge. The captain, via text message, told Chris that he was furious that she was using the kittens to beg for money and ordered her to take the kittens to the vet. Other forum users noted that the tweet seemed to have been sent from New Zealand, like some tweets posted in October, positing that perhaps the message was written and sent by a troll. Chris then wrote that the cats were recovering in warmth and comfort, with paper to relieve themselves onto, and good music from radio stations. Not long after, a tweet posted from Chris's account that while she was allegedly playing the video game Hyperdimension Neptunia, her mother screamed and alerted her that the family dog, Snoopy, had mauled one of her kittens, posting a graphic photo of the alleged cat carcass. The tweet was quickly deleted, and others found that the image was taken from an online article interviewing visual effects artist James Hatton, and was only one of the examples of his work with his company, Legion VFX. In a discussion with Sonichu official merchandise, who were in the process of setting up a fund for the pets, Chris confirmed that none of the kittens had died, and that Animal Rescue had come to their home to assess the situation, and told the Chandlers they were taking good care of the cats. Christine told the merchandise producers to not call Animal Control over to their home again. Sonichu Merchandise shared the article from where the image came and suggested that she change her Twitter password. Upon changing her password, Christine then complained that she failed to get verified on the social media site, which would allow her to display a verification mark on her profile. Shortly after, Chris shared Sonichu Merchandise's announcement that their emergency fund was open for contributions. She reassured her readers that she personally would not be getting any of the money. After a little while, Christine returned to Twitter to complain that someone had called Animal Control to visit her and check on the animals. On November 3rd, Sonichu official merchandise confirmed that a shipment of medicine was on its way to the Chandler's home. Chris wrote that previous emotionally strong tweets were apparently written by her husband, Magi-chan, and expressed her thanks to the merchandise team. She added that it may be best if money was sent to their home instead. She later rejected their suggestion of donating the kittens to a local animal shelter and claimed that the animals were getting good love and care from the Chandlers.
This might be the first time I've had to pause this, ladies and gentlemen, because to be honest, I could have absolutely have given Chris the old RYNO. But honestly, if you want my honest opinion, even at this point, every single thing about this just... listen, I don't own any cats, but this entire thing just... there's nothing else I could say apart from I am absolutely disgusted. You know, Chris has done some pretty messed up things in his time, and I know that there's probably a lot worse to come, and I know he's probably done even worse things before, but for whatever reason... In fact, I think it's because of the reason about why Chris even bothered taking in all these kittens in the first place. I feel I don't feel anything for Chris. They say that hate is a very strong word, but I would argue apathy is the opposite of hate in the same way that apathy is also the opposite of love. It is the void where no emotion shall escape. And Chris is somewhere in that void. Because, or maybe I'm in this as well, because I don't feel anything, and I don't really think Chris could have cared either way about what happens to them, as we will get to.
Christine then posted a photo of the 3 cats, now named Liza, Patches, and Sylvia, and revealed that a local vet came to examine them and gave them appropriate medicine, who should not be contacted. Sonichu official merchandise confirmed that the veterinarian Chris mentioned was the correct person to be contacted by anyone who was concerned about the family's situation. Chris then berated the Twitter account, once again reiterating that he should not be contacted. Apparently, a Twitter user who contacted the vet confirmed that Chris had gone to the vet a few days ago, before this latest situation developed. Sonichu official merchandise berated Christine because she didn't reveal earlier that the Chandlers already had most of the medication that the merchandise team had sent to her, and told her not to use sick kittens for personal gain. The team confirmed with the vet that Christine had gone to the veterinarian once, and only concerning Patches, but had been prescribed enough medication to treat all 3 kittens. The mother of the kittens was not treated and was believed to have been kept outside in the yard. The captain asked for an update, and Chris confirmed that the mother stayed outside and refused to come in, which necessitated the family's old cat, Lucy, to fill in as a mother figure. Chris was personally feeling overwhelmed over these recent troubles, combined with her role in the dimensional merge, and was so laying down to rest. Christine then...
If that's what it's like when Chris gets stressed, goodness knows what would happen if there was, if Chris actually, what's the word? If Chris hadn't been lying out of his ass about medicine and about just immediately asking for money, and then lying about a kitten being mauled to death.
Pleaded with Sonichu official merchandise to send them monetary donations, for they would be gravely necessary come December.
By the way, I know one person has sort of left me a comment a couple of weeks ago about whether or not I was aware that I was berating what can only be described as a disabled person. I, however, would say there's a big difference, ladies and gentlemen, between being disabled and going out of your way, lying about, creating a story about you were preoccupied with things you shouldn't be preoccupied with, whilst not taking care of cats you freely dragged into your house. Then you start begging for money, and then you start posting up a picture of a dead kitten stolen from a visual effects artist. At what point am I supposed to feel bad for that? If I had done that, I never will, but if I had done that, I would have been on the receiving end of an absolute bollocking. And quite right too.
December. Kiwi Farms.
I think part of all, where a lot of all this comes from, ladies and gentlemen, this level of behaviour from Chris, at least this part, is that Chris only really sees his mother as sort of like a caretaker or just somebody else that he just so happens to live with at the time. Chris is under the impression that he can live rather independent and doesn't really have to answer to anybody. Not even the police, not even authority, not even anyone he considers to be theoretically beneath him. Chris views everybody as being lower than him, as I will come to explain about in a couple of videos' time. But, yeah.
User, the American Hedgehog, supposed that it was because the Chandlers were to pay a property tax of $607 on December 5th. Meanwhile, the merch team revealed that they did not have private conversations with Chris for about a week, as Christine explained that it was because they were insulting her, and even though she appreciated the medicine, she needed money the most. She then frustratingly proclaimed that the kittens belonged to her and that she was their mother and loved them all dearly. The captain then told Kiwi Farms members that he was in contact with another local forum user Chris knew from the End Games card game store, who was interested in adopting the orange kitten, Liza, and was planning on visiting the family home to pick up the cat. The identity of the forum member was not revealed, but they successfully adopted the kitten from Chris after having tea and good conversation with the Chandler.
Also, look at the way it ends. I hope her son enjoys his new kitten. Chris, you're not selling a car. You're not selling a card game card. Chris, you're giving away. You're giving a complete a living animal. And maybe I'm looking too much into that, but it's how it reads because of how Chris has been acting, and immediately saying that he needs money more than anything. He needs Chris is a very material sort of person. You know what I'm saying?
The friend later confessed that it seemed that bringing the kittens in was in their best interest, as the mother cat was very feral and refused to come close to anyone. The condition of the house was reported as being not as bad as others thought, but their 2 dogs were described as extremely overweight. The new owner soon discovered that Liza was in fact male and renamed him Tingles after treating him for pneumonia. On November 4th, Christine wrote on Twitter that the kitten's eyes were clearing up well. The next day, Patches developed further health complications, and Chris took him to the local vet again, but he refused to admit the kitten. Instead, she purchased a heating pad and cat food with extra nutrients and cared for him at home. But on November 6th, the kitten passed away in Chris's arms. She then shared a newer photo of the last kitten that remained with her, Sylvia, with her eye problem visibly improving quickly. Later that day, Kathy Weseluk, voice actress for the animated series My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, thanked all the fans of the show as the cast and crew approached the final season of the series. Christine replied, thanking her and all the other voice actors for their work, and cheered them on as she falsely claimed the series would go on for another 5 seasons.
I feel like, I know we've sort of transitioned almost immediately away from the story about the cats to about My Little Pony, like as though another day, same shit, different day sort of thing. And yet, I still find it almost, I don't even know where I'm even meant to begin with that whole story about the cats. Apart from, well, like I said before, when you sort of piece it together and you sort of work out why Chris did it, and also you wonder, like, and when you sort of see how everything played out, my impression, ladies and gentlemen, is one of absolute apathy. I don't care about. I honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that, you know, the way Chris handled, like, first of all, within this situation, ladies and gentlemen, do you think it's within the best interests of Chris to even bother trying to go out of your way to try to take care of animals when you can barely take care of yourself, considering the state of the house, considering that the dogs were dangerously overweight? Do you think any of this seems like a good idea? Like, my sister, she actually, my sister's developed a reputation for actually rescuing quite a lot of homeless kittens, because there's been something of an epidemic in the UK, at the very least, in the last 2 years, ever since COVID ended, that there's been an awful lot of homeless kittens and older cats. And my sister, quite at least like maybe once a month, is that she sometimes will ring us up and say that she's a kitten just was sort of like lying by herself, shivering by the side of a drain, and then just sort of like saw my sister and then sort of just like tried to walk up to her because she was shivering and everything else. And then we would call like the RSPC. Is it the RSPC? No, I suppose it'd be the vet. The RSPCA's for birds, I think, or something like that. And basically we would send them on their way. I remember many stories as well, ladies and gentlemen, about when I would be like driving home from work at about like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would have, like, every so often there would be like hedgehogs just sort of like trying to scuttle across the road, and I would like pull over and just get whatever I could out the back of my car just to help it get away from the road, because you never know, ladies and gentlemen, in 10 years' time, hedgehogs could be gone or something, as if they keep wandering out into the road at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, with that being said, That's just the sort of thing you just do that, and you let the authorities or let people who are more capable of handling it take over. Because what experience does Chris have of actually taking care of animals outside of Paddy? You tell me.
At around the same time, Chris's car's engine permanently broke, and she submitted the Ford Focus as an auction item, for fixing the engine would have been too expensive. On November 8th, she posted a photo of the new kitten Sylvia lying on her head as she lay in bed shirtless. On the 9th, she shared a YouTube video showcasing a modified model of Sonic the Hedgehog in the game Sonic Forces that was made to have the appearance of Sonichu. Aside from a small criticism of a missing brown stripe in his shoes, Chris loved the mod and wished for it to be available as a free download for the game on all available game systems. On that same day, concerned observers called for animal control to visit the Chandlers' home again, but since they took care of their pets adequately, they were then left alone with no repercussions. Possibly at around the same time, Joshua Moon, the administrator of the Kiwi Farms, received a text message from Christine in which she wrote that an officer from the Greene County Sheriff's Department came to their home to discuss the significant number of troublesome phone calls they were receiving. Chris gave them the phone numbers of Moon and the captain, who may be better at explaining to the officers the means of quelling the nuisance calls. On November 12th, upon learning of the death of Marvel Comics writer, publisher, and producer Stan Lee, Chris wrote on Twitter that fortunately his soul from this dimension merged with that of his still alive counterpart in dimension C-197, and that he will be seen again after the merge.
Excalibur, Stanley. I remember that day as well. I literally, and this was in the same period that Steven Hillenburg had died as well. And it just, I'm going to try and hold it, because it was one of the worst weeks of my life, knowing that two legendary creators had been taken away. And now look at what look at all they've done, and look at what it's amounted to. I don't know. Maybe Brave New World will actually be quite good. I honestly don't know. But Steven Hillenburg's SpongeBob will still live on. I mean, bear in mind, I know a lot of. Again, I've never seen Camp Corral. I've never seen the Patrick Star Show. I've never seen any of the SpongeBob movies outside of the first one. But think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. The first 3 series of SpongeBob, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, so just watch those instead. Or maybe Season 4. Season 4 is pretty good, all things considered.
At around the same time, Kiwi Farms user Dismedi noticed Christine writing something on the Freedom of Speech wall in Charlottesville, Virginia, which allowed for anyone to write what they wanted in chalk. After Chris left, the user took a photo of what she wrote. It read, "Dimensions C-197 and 1218, this world, are merging. Hashtag dimensional merge. Hashtag 1218 C-197. Be aware of your surroundings. Keep calm." On November 14th, one of Christine's...
Nothing says keep calm, ladies and gentlemen, like shouting it out. Also, I know that Chris is, quite tall and everything like that, but even getting the chalk that high is impressive, I suppose.
Keep calm. On November 14th, one of Christine's cases for unpaid debt was given a continuance, with the next scheduled court appearance set on January 16th, 2019. On November 15th, Christine explained on Twitter that during the dimensional merge, she estimated that around 51% of the human residents in both dimensions would survive, and 41% would die, with a margin of error of 8%. She wrote down her calculations on a napkin, likely taken from a McDonald's, and posted a photo of it. Also,
it probably was, considering it looks like it's been dipped in grease. Look at that.
On that day, it was revealed that Chris was involved in a crowdfunded effort to recreate the 2001 animated motion picture Shrek. Titled Shrek Retold, it consisted of over 200 artists, animators, and filmmakers who each recreated a short segment from the movie. Christine's contribution begins around 25 minutes in. She provided the drawings and voiceover track, but appears that another party animated the characters' motions.
This is Christine Chandler. I'll be depicting scene 23 as Shrek exits the ring. The crowd cheers. Yeah! Yeah! Oh, the bad guy, I forget his name, communicates to the armed forces, and Shrek becomes a bit offended and Donkey is scared. Shall I get the order, sir? No, I have a better idea. Keep up your luck! I give you our champion! The crowd cheers. What? Congratulations, Ogre! You have won the honor of going on a great and noble quest, says that guy, I forget his name still. I'm already on a quest to get my swamp back. Your swamp? Yeah, my swamp! Where you dump those fairytale creatures. Okay. Alright, Ogre, I'll make you a deal. Go on this quest for me and I'll give you your swamp back. Exactly the way it was, right down to the last slime-covered toadstool. And this squatters is good as gone. What kind of quest? And I guess that's it for scene 23 of Shrek.
Please tell me Chris was not paid for that. Don't not give Chris money for that. Now, outside of the fact that it was not necessary to zoom in on Chris's... did Chris pull the PSI out from 2009 or something? Why was it so green? I suppose it might have something to do with Shrek, you never know. Maybe that was intentional. But I also know that out of the 3 characters in that scene, Chris couldn't even bother to remember who Lord Farquaad was. Mind you, with that being said, I do love crowdfunded retellings of of movies and TV shows. I love those. You might be interested to know that there's actually somebody, like a team of people, they remade the 2nd episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. If you guys were interested in seeing that, because it's just what it is, as it says. It's a passion project done by people who loved Season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you do not know what Season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, well, you guys are missing out. Trust me, it is absolutely insane, and I love it.
On November 17th, Chris uploaded a short YouTube video of her playing with her cat, Sylvia. Someone gained access to Chris's Twitter account and posted a short clip of the video she recorded for the Idea Guys, in which she nakedly simulates sex with Magi-chan as All-Star by Smash Mouth plays in the background. The video was accompanied by a message purportedly written by someone said to be from the Bluegrass State, likely a reference to Idea Guy Stephen Boyd, who lived in Kentucky, the so-called Bluegrass State. Like previous suspicious tweets, this post was location tagged as coming from Sydney, New South Wales. The tweet was deleted within a minute. Later on, Chris tweeted, "The time has come. Be sure to pray to the CPUs." She then linked to her long Twitter threads explaining the main concepts of the merge for anyone who had not read them yet. Afterwards, she wrote that the merge was in progress and would take final effect soon. It was observed through her PlayStation Network profile that during this time, Chris continued to play video games, including an entry from the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. On November 22nd, Chris wished everyone a happy Thanksgiving and called for them to be thankful for all those who brought joy to them, along with other blessings, decorating her remarks with an attached photo of her mother Barbara with their cat Sylvia on her.
And Bob looks like she has just completely had enough, doesn't she? Oh dear. And also, that... what is all that on the floor? And that's somebody's wet themselves on the floor.
Lap. Chris added to her message by listing some of the things she was thankful for, including finally getting married, becoming a CPU goddess, her mother being still alive and healthy, their house, kindness from most people around the world, and good music and other simple things. On November 26th, Christine shared on Twitter her Amazon wish list, or a list of items found on the merchant website Amazon.com, which other people could buy for her as a gift. The list included a plethora of Transformers toys, an Xbox One game console, and a couple of Nintendo handheld game consoles. The next day, Chris asked for advice in dealing with a bout of insomnia, to which one commenter wrote that they drank orange-flavored Fanta to go to sleep, trollishly referencing the 2009 leaked video in which Christian drinks a solution of orange Fanta and his own semen. This tweet received a reply from the official Fanta Twitter account, which read, "Nothing but dreams of orange emoji." The reply was soon engulfed with replies regarding Chris's past antics and semen drinking, and was soon deleted. At around the same time, upon discovering that she could create sparks by striking two quartz stones together, she tried to do the same using her amethyst high school ring and another amethyst stone. She ended up cracking the stone in her ring and tried to repair it with crazy glue. On December 5th, Chris posted a short video on Twitter of the first sight of snow.
Hey everybody, it's snowing here in 1218's Walkersville, Virginia. Why did you interrupt my video, Barbara? There's your joke. Have a good day.
This was soon followed by...
Wow, he did not sound happy, did he? But yes, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, yes, if it does seem as though this is a little bit too comprehensive for your taste, for your like, ladies and gentlemen, Gino is not missing out anything, ladies and gentlemen. This is legitimately, like as it is. They are not skimming anything out, and they are not messing around when they say comprehensive. Now, I'm going to take a short break here for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, because I need to just explain a couple of things before we go any further. It's about this point when Chris is making a video about giving, like, business advice about Funko Pops, which you can get, like, which is like an exclusive brand of cereal, which they don't sell in Walmart or Target. But I should point out is that it was around this point that I started watching the videos by YouTube channel Gibby, otherwise known as Good Idea, Bad Idea, a YouTuber who has pretty much been talking about Chris since the very day he heard about Chris's ramblings about the dimensional merge. And this was how I came to learn of Chris, pretty much through first watching Down the Rabbit Hole, but then with what Chris is up to nowadays via Gibby. So it was around this time that I started to become very, very noticeable, or started to really begin to hear all of these updates and everything Chris was doing very regularly. So you could say from this point, this was when I became a Christorian, I suppose. I don't really know if there's a better way to phrase it than that, but yeah, if you want a reference, ladies and gentlemen, you can almost point it to this video right here. This is pretty much how it began. Or and the question follows, and maybe this is something I'll make into a longer form video. Do I regret knowing or talking about who Chris is? Do I regret having this cabbage worm its way into my lobes? No, not really. At the very least, it makes me feel a little bit more thankful and grateful, knowing that, hey, maybe my life is, like, wiltering away, but there are worse fates, I suppose, but that's besides the point. Anyway, let's keep going.
by a two-part video review of the cereal Funkos, created by Funko, which was only sold in limited numbers, with Funko Pop figurines contained within the box.
Hey everybody! Just wanted to offer a little voluntary individual opinion about Funko brands. Funko's cereal! But just the cereal though, I mean, because having all the pictures and the figures in them is good and all, but the cereal is really good. I mean, various colors they're in, but I mean, hey, Funko Company.
You know what's a better idea for a breakfast, Chris? How about some fruit? How about some Special K? Healthier forms of living, Chris, that you can do completely on the cheap.
You know what you could do with the cereal? Actually put it in the grocery stores and in the cereal aisles of the Walmarts, the Targets, and everywhere. All the actual cereal aisles, instead of just making it a specialty food item available only in certain places, because that berry flavor is totally awesome, and it's a multi-grain cereal, so it's definitely a good part of a balanced breakfast.
Define a balanced
On December
breakfast.
6th, Chris complained on Twitter that trolls were adding items on her Amazon wishlist to their cart, as if they were to buy them, before canceling their order, thusly emptying her wishlist. She asked for Amazon to rectify their system so that wishlist items would not be removed if the orders were cancelled, and that wishlists should not be abused by anyone other than the creators of their own wishlists.
Again, you can look at this and think to yourself, yes, that does make sense, but then again, is it morally righteous, knowing fine well that Chris should not be begging for Amazon, for Transformers toys and, My Little Pony plushies on Amazon, whilst he has bills to pay and debts to pay off and pets to take care of? Do you think that Chris has the right to start complaining when, we know that Chris does not have his priorities in order? It's an issue, ladies and gentlemen, don't get me wrong, but what do you guys reckon?
Chris then returned to write that she enabled a setting to make her wishlist items unable to disappear, before adding a large selection of amiibo figurines to the list, making the total number of items on the wishlist 96. On December 7th, an unknown individual text messaged Christine to ask her about the dimensional merge, to which she replied that events leading up to the merge were happening and that the climatic merge would be happening very soon. Indulging in her fantasies, the individual asked for more details, claiming to hope to spend time with their original characters for Christmas. Chris wrote that the wildfire occurring in Florida at the time was one sign of the merge, in addition to the imminent death of US President Donald Trump, who was to be replaced by his counterpart from Dimension C-197. The person then wrote that they were interested in buying something from her wish list and inquired why they should be purchased specifically from Amazon. Christine replied that it was nice for everyone to know what she needed/wanted, and singled out replacement Wii U and Xbox One game consoles as priorities, along with some other items. 3 days later, Chris wrote on Twitter that the dimensional merge would happen soon, and that some of the telltale signs of it already developing were the wildfires in California and romaine lettuce being recalled.
Imagine trying to say this, however, in 2025, because as far as I'm concerned, California is still on fire, and I was going to make a very long rant, but I'll do it some other time.
Due to an outbreak of E. coli bacteria. Also on this day, in response to artist and YouTuber Mad Munchkin posting a collection of drawings of dogs from movies, Chris replied saying that dogs and puppies, in addition to cats, were cute, attaching a selection of photos of her cats, Lucy and Sylvia, and her two dogs, Clover and Snoopy, visibly overweight. On December 8th, Chris made a short video addressed to one Gracie, whose story of being bullied for her looks was shared by her father and then further spread by My Little Pony voice actress Tara Strong.
Hi Gracie, this is Christine Chandler giving you a little support. I hear you being bullied. Don't let the boys bother you. I mean, I've been there with you. I was bullied in my...
Nothing quite says try to give somebody support by making it all about you. I hate this. I just... Chris, we know, alright? That's not why you do this. You say, hang in there, Gracie. Be strong. Be tough. We'll be there when you're not feeling too tough. Something like that. Short, but simple. Chris does not do either of those things, nor does Chris really seem to understand the whole point of why you even do stuff like this in the first place.
Childhood, too. I was bullied for being different because of my autism. And I didn't let that stop me. And I was cyberbullied since 2007. You think I'd let that stop me? Nope. It didn't stop me. I continued on. I created and I worked. And you could do the same. Just, you are beautiful. You are bright.
Is Chris actually taking the piss now? I'm asking this in earnest, ladies and gentlemen, because you know what? I could make I could talk about what I was doing during this time in 2019. I could do that, but I'm not trying to like indulge in, you know, comparing my life to Chris. That's not particularly fair, and I don't really think there's much point in doing stuff like that. What I will do, ladies and gentlemen, is just I'm going to say this. If you do feel bad for Chris, and if you've ever told Chris that you feel bad for her, then let me just, or for him, I should say, let me ask this question. Do you think Chris cares? That's the thing. I don't think it's ever dawned on any of us that I don't think Chris cares at all if whether we feel bad, if we feel, you know, contempt for Chris or bad or just happy, because there's I was going to say there's an air that Chris doesn't deserve what he gets, but I'm also going to phrase this in a slightly different way. Chris, if it doesn't concern Chris in the slightest, Chris will not even bother to talk about it. Like, if Chris didn't get the chance to vent about what he went through and how he was bullied, anything like that, he would not have bothered to have done this video at all. You may argue that's not particularly very fair because, you know, I think Chris had the right intention behind it, but Chris might not have known exactly how to communicate it. But then again, had Chris never thought about that before? Had Chris never actually considered how you're meant to conduct yourself when you're doing stuff like this? Yeah, that's like the big difference between her and like Tara Strong, in my opinion, is that Tara Strong has a reputation through her many years in voice acting, and she knows fine well how... I think she has more responsibility because of people recognizing her voice and her talents and stuff like that. By contrast, what does Chris have to distribute good advice? Or something.
And you definitely look very lovely. You look like a woman. Yes, you do.
Chris, can we see both hands in this? Because you look like... Oh, God, I hate this. I hate this so much. Do you remember, guys, like 10 parts ago when Chris had a falling out with who was she called? Lady of the Cosmo, because it wasn't Chris's place to suddenly start deciding what was okay and is not for other people, and that when Chris was called out, Chris simply tried to change people's judgment of the situation and believing that she was the only one who could be right. Because, yeah, Chris is, as they say, out of touch. Even to this day.
And when somebody tells you otherwise, you can tell them that I said they could take their insults and zap it up theirs. Report them to your authorities, your principal, whoever's nearby, an adult. Okay? Alright. Good luck, Gracie. Stay awesome. Zap to the extreme.
The next day, she wrote on Twitter a plea for Nintendo to include Sonichu, Rosechu, and herself as playable characters in the video game Smash Bros. Ultimate. She offered to help by providing her voice acting abilities for all 3 characters. On December 10th, a Twitter user posted an altered version of the newly released teaser image for the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog motion picture, modified to appear as if Sonic was Sonichu, and was shared with Christine. She responded, writing that she instinctively knew that the filmmakers would not faithfully recreate the titular Sonic's design. She added that the person who altered the image did not accurately reproduce Sonichu's ears, and told them to try again. The maker of the Sonichu plush doll, which Chris criticized upon receiving it, returned to write that Chris should have instead simply written, "Thank you." Chris replied, stating once more that she was sorry for criticizing the plushie before, and reasoned that the reason she tended to be habitually critical was because she was criticized herself many times, and listened to a lot of critics and analysts.
Because, Chris, when you talk about you want to make Sonichu a success, when you talk about whether you want to franchise out Sonichu, when you are in a professional environment, Chris, that's what you do. You have to be professional, and you have to take advice a little bit on the chin, and you have to adapt to what, you've been told you wanted. You know what? I'm sorry if Chris doesn't like to hear this, or doesn't like to hear just how this happens, but guess what? You have to do it. But this, bear in mind, Chris, this is just what somebody did for fun. They didn't do it because they were trying to, get Chris off just to get a job. They just did it for fun, in the same way the guy who did the plushie did it just for fun. They weren't looking to create a massive expansion or create a business mogul empire out of it. They did it because they just did it for fun. And Chris can't do anything but shit all over their hard work and effort, just because she can do it. It's disgusting. That's what it is.
Christine thanked them for the Sonichu plushie again, and then addressed the original poster of the Sonichu poster to thank them for their efforts, but added that she felt that more work could have been put into it.
And just immediately says it again.
On December 11th, it was believed that Christine's Twitter account was hacked again, when it posted a preview clip of a house tour video she had filmed for the Idea Guys earlier in the year, and wrote that the full video would be uploaded if she received donations in excess of $500, urging her followers to think of her quote-unquote feeble mother. The house tour preview was uploaded exactly 5 years after the previous house tour video was uploaded online. Chris took back control and deleted the tweet 30 minutes later. The next day, her account was hacked again, and 2 more videos filmed for the Idea Guys were posted.
What exactly is Chris changing his password to, if people could guess immediately what it was? Chris, you've literally not learned a single bit of this, have you?
And another in which she slaps herself repeatedly. Christine quickly deleted the tweets and wrote another, denying that it was her doing, and explained that the actions seen in the clips were the result of the Idea Guys, Joshua Wise, and Stephen Boyd, and she pleaded for them to stay out of her Twitter account, though it was unlikely them behind the hackings. On December 13th, Christine purchased a used treadmill from Goodwill for $10. She excitedly posted pictures of it on Twitter, writing that it worked great, and she had just finished walking at a speed of 3 miles per hour for 5 minutes. Some observers noticed that there was visible animal feces on the floor in one of the photographs. The following day, Chris wrote a long thread of tweets in reference to her past drawings, depicting her Sonichu characters in sexual scenarios. Yeah, the NSFW direction was not the best impulse I had, even to make one book purposely a controversious one, because it was in at the time, and I was stretching my artistic license and mind in the drawing experiment. Point is, I learned not only from the extended version of Book 8 and other seriously NSFW pieces I ended up drawing, and Idea Guy and Boyd were no help either. I generally am more SFW and positivity driven in my works. Drawing total nudes, sex, and other real questionable things are not my usual cup of tea. And I am.
Well, if they were, then why did you do them in the first place, Chris? You can't say you are this, that, the other when evidence to the contrary suggests that, you know what, you didn't learn or you did it because you thought... And besides, you did that for like a young audience as well, Chris. So, no, that doesn't work because, again, why did you even do it? And this is all the way back in Book 8, back in the late noughties. This was nearly 10 whole years before the Idea Guys came up. So, no, it doesn't stick, Chris, and you know this.
Not proud of all of the NSFW drawings I ended up making. Especially that infamous one that I had torn into pieces. Total wishful thinking gone horribly wrong, that one. But I really do like the pieces where the couple or poly group is cuddling, kissing, hugging, and generally making each other feel happy, appreciates, and loved. I'm still feeling relatively shook up from the worst ones out of that lot, involving myself or Christy, my self counterpart, and my past theoretical and ex-girlfriends, and any humans. It will likely be long after the dimension merge that I'll have recovered from that, forgiven myself fully for the worst of the NSFW items, and even remotely feel at ease drawing anything sexual and/or revealing again. But, fortunately, realizing my being bisexual and accepting myself for that has been going well. Hell, I even ate the whole box of penis-shaped gummy candy someone glitter-bombed me a year or so ago, with no regret and appreciation, and I would eat more if I got some, not to mention vagina-shaped candy too.
And Chris says Chris, if you try to mellow out a little bit, then you shouldn't really be mentioning stuff like this. Chris isn't particularly good at, the whole point of, having filter or even tact, I suppose. Among many other things we know that Chris doesn't have, never developed, and Chris never really considered. Yeah.
Smiling face with smiling eyes emoji, but I digress. It is still a bumpy and long shaft of a road ahead of me as I face each tunnel and speed bump along the way. But I'm still riding and surviving. And yes, I know the innuendo I'm making. Also on that day, Chris's Twitter account was hacked once again, this time writing that her mother, Barbara Ann Weston Chandler, had passed away. The tweet was soon deleted, and minutes later, Christine recorded a video of her mother confessing that she was still alive.
Hey, Mom. Say something.
My name is Barbara Chandler.
Are you dead right now?
No.
You're very much alive.
Yes.
How strong do you feel?
Very strong.
Good. Thank you.
As a further measure to prevent hackers, Chris logged out of Twitter on all of her devices, reset her password, wiped her laptop of all data, and installed the Windows 10 operating system. An individual on Twitter wrote that it was dubious how quickly the tweet written by the hacker was deleted and then the video was recorded and posted. Chris proclaimed that she should not be doubted. On December 17th, she expressed her views on the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie, writing that in addition to actor Jim Carrey being unsuited to play the villain Robotnik, Sonic's shoes were incorrect, and he had blue arms rather than the original tan color. She claimed that the real Sonic himself was ashamed and embarrassed of the movie adaptation of his own adventures. She then posted a short video of her cat, Sylvia.
Hello, Sylvia. Look at you being so sweet. Oh. Temporarily paralyzed for a moment because the fateful incidents between dimensions, and you decide to hang out with me. You're such a sweet and good little kitty. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're so pretty, too.
She also posted a short clip of herself walking on her new treadmill.
Hey everybody, checking it out. Just let you know that is me. Walking.
Right, that's it. You know what? Forget it. Just so we know it was me. Chris, I mean this in the nicest possible way. You're too hard to miss, Chris. It's... Oh, dear me, I am like... Oh, God. I wish... You know what I wish, ladies and gentlemen? I wish that, honest to God, I didn't have to see this. I've honestly, you know what? That's it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna sit here for like the next like minute or so because I like need a break. I've been on this for well over an hour, and also apparently some new people following me on my my professional account, so I have to like see this. Oh dear, I'm sorry about this, guys, but I'll come back to this later. Because I am like legitimately I'm absolutely beside myself. Oh dear me, I'm like. Right, no, that's it. I've had it. Right, okay, you know what? Forget it. We're finishing this. I can't put up with this bullshit anymore. I'm sorry for using the blue language, guys, but
Like at 3 miles an hour and counting, baby.
On December 19th, one of Christine's unpaid debt cases concluded, as she was ordered to pay $2,777.90 to Midland Funding. Soon after, she rejoiced on Twitter that US President Donald Trump declared victory over and so US troops were set to leave Syria, praising it as the one thing the Trump of this dimension did right. However, Chris clarified that she would be voting for Lisa Simpson from the cartoon series The Simpsons in the next presidential elections
oh, that Lisa Simpson. Thank you, Gino.
in the year 2020. The next day, in response to a Twitter user denying her claims of being a goddess, Chris reconfirmed that she was a goddess and that she had electricity/lightning zapping through her body for 2 nights, claiming she was surviving thousands to millions of volts of electricity passing through her. She assured the doubter that she would make a video showcasing her powers and all her alleged spouses after the merge was completed. On December 22nd, Chris acknowledged that people have been growing impatient regarding the merge, but remained adamant that it would happen at any moment. She reasoned that her frequent spells of déjà vu were confirmation of her experiencing predictions she had received in past dreams and visions. Chris wrote that she even had more than 2 déjà vu moments while in counsel with her psychiatrist, which left her psychiatrist flabbergasted. She concluded that the surges of electricity she could feel through her body was evidence that she was a conduit for the dimensional merge taking place. On Christmas Day, Christine's Twitter account was hacked once again, and someone claiming to be Magi-chan posted a document regarding the so-called Teen Trun Squad. In the document, the supposed magician claimed that he was in possession of one of the teenagers, Lucas's, body, and was using it to type out his message. He revealed Lucas's full legal name, home address, and phone number. He continued to explain that the group of transgender teenagers would regularly meet up in Lucas's home to smoke marijuana, most likely without his mother's knowledge. Magichan closed by stating that due to an apparent time dilation, the merge in the real-life dimension of 1218 would be completed in 20 years' time. At the end of the document was a previously unreleased photograph of Chris with the Teen Trun Squad. To seemingly counteract the leak of information, Lucas himself then posted the video he filmed of Chris apparently kissing her wife Crizel while high. He also wrote another tweet implicating Kiwi Farms user and guard dog, the captain, as the person who took control of Chris's account and leaked Lucas's private information. Lucas revealed that the captain was in his late 30s and also posted his supposed phone number. Chris then took back control of her Twitter account to write that she was shocked by the revelation from her supposed husband, who had allegedly been previously warned about giving away personal information, or doxing. She restated that the merge was imminent and told her followers to enjoy the rest of their waking days. Chris said that she was enjoying her time by playing the recently purchased video game, Starlink. At first, she seemed to be dismayed to hear that the merge might be delayed by 20 years, but then she decided that while the majority of people on Earth would be hibernating for 20 years as the merge developed, Christine herself, along with a select few destined to follow her, would remain awake to uphold their destiny. On December 30th, Lucas made his Twitter account available for direct messaging in case anyone was interested in learning the full story about his involvement with Christine. On that same day, someone claiming to be Lucas went to the image board 8chan to post a photo of a drawing and medallion depicting Lucas's Sonichu form, both made by Chris. The next day, the same person proceeded to upload the video in which a naked Christine had pretend sex with her supposed husband, Magichan, which she had filmed for the Idea Guys in early 2018. The leaker, as Lucas, pleaded for people to stop texting him, linking to his recent Twitter post. He claimed that he would tell the whole story if people stopped texting and calling him. On Twitter, Lucas claimed that he was not the person to have leaked Chris's sex tape, alleging that it was the doing of the Idea Guys. In a further tweet, Lucas wrote that he only used Twitter, and if there were screenshots from other sites of individuals claiming to be him, then they were imitators. Upon learning about the leaks herself, Christine tweeted that she was very angry at Lucas, mostly for insulting his own special Sonichu. She also wrote that she would not buy Lucas alcohol, since he was under the legal age to buy it himself. On New Year's Eve, Chris wrote several posts referring to the countdown to the end of the year and the apparent dimensional merge that was to take place at any moment. In the final hours of the day, Chris wrote a list of best moments for her in 2018, which included meeting friends and allies from both dimensions, discovering that she was in fact a Sonichu, marrying Magichan, Crizel, Sylvana, and Mewtwo, and being bestowed with the memories, powers, and soul of CPU Blueheart. On January 1st,
You're gonna notice how almost all of those concerned Chris and pretty much no one else. Chris never at any point said that one of my best friends got married, or one person that I knew finally overcame a long-standing sickness. It's all about what Chris wants, isn't it? Which, that might be very specific, but again, think about just how some of this reads. And if Chris is trying to portray that he is a good person, anything like that, unfortunately, what does Chris actually do to display any of this? What does he actually do outside of LARPing on Twitter and having his Twitter hacked every 5 minutes?
2019, Christine announced that the merge between Dimensions 1218 and C197 was still in progress, but was being delayed due to apparent damn red tape. She wrote that she still remained married to her 4 spouses, but confessed that there was still room for one more person from the real-life dimension. On that same day, Lucas wrote in reply to another party that he was very disliked by the people of the QB Farms. A newly created Twitter account then wrote to him that he brought this negative attention onto himself. Lucas then shared a notification he received showing that the mysterious new Twitter user was in his contact list on his phone. Lucas elaborated that the only 2 contacts that he thought might do something like this were Christine and the captain. By this point, the captain had stopped posting on QB Farms for over a month, but was last seen quietly observing threads on the site in the last week of December 2018. He had been getting pressure for spending too much of his leisure time away from his wife and daughter to deal with Chris's affairs, and was looking to take a break. As Lucas implied, it is possible that the captain, who for months was wishing for the teen Trun squad to leave Chris's life, took control of her Twitter account and posed as a troll pretending to be Magi-chan and leaked Lucas's private information to scare him away as one final act to help Chris. It is then theorized that he was the one responsible for pretending to be Lucas while leaking videos recorded for the Idea Guys, as he was one of the only people who could easily retrieve Christine's account password and be in the possession of the Idea Guys videos. After this time, both the captain and the Teen Trun squad ceased contact with Chris. From this recent turn of events, it was apparent that meddling in Christine's life, no matter with good intentions or bad, was bound to only bring trouble for all involved. As those who got too close had to deal with the negative fallout, Chris careened on, changing rules for her life to form as many comfortable cushions as possible, to brace herself for whatever inevitable blow may come.
Well, thank God that's over. Oh, look, the 10th best rapper in the world, Touch AC. And then the 14th best rapper in the world, Notorious MAC. I know who those guys are. Well, actually, no, I don't. I just thought that was kind of funny. Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was painful. That was really, really painful to get through. Yeah, the revelation about how, like, the captain was presumably the one involved all this time for trying to, like, get into Chris's Twitter. It's, well, it was a very... I don't understand why exactly. If the intention of the captain was specifically to get the TT squad completely away from Christine, well, from Chris, then it didn't really work because it was of Chris's own volition. And this is the problem, is that when you see people try to get involved and they try to, like, say, Chris, don't talk to this person, or Chris, stay away from this person, they will only bring you problems, is that it's not really down to them to decide who Chris can and cannot talk with. As much as it upsets a lot of other people, considering that they were openly being told that such and such is a troll, Chris will still choose to do what Chris does, and that is continue to make mistakes over and over and over again. So that's there would have been a lot more I would have said about this, but again, these videos go on way too long as it is, and well, I am, as they say, spent for the time being. So we're just gonna cut it off there. So I thank each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, for part 67 of Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History, and there might possibly be a slight change to the proceedings next week, because I think I might be putting out part 68 on the 31st as opposed to the 1st of February, because, well, for those who don't know, I will be turning 27 on the 31st, and my gift to you guys is some more Chris content, because it's goodness knows what you guys come down here for. It's certainly not not the effects or anything like that. But there you go. So thank all of you guys once again for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. So take care, and bye bye for now.